We watched a couple of movies with the kids in the evening. Marge snuggled up next to me, and she felt good. She was feeling frisky. A couple times while they were engrossed in the movie, Marge openly felt my sea. We took a break toward the end of the second movie. I used the opportunity to get a drink and to pop one of Marge's ex. I figured I would be asleep in 45 minutes. About 15 minutes later, Marge woke me up. I announced that I had worked too hard today and was going to bed. Marge looked disappointed, and even more so when the kids asked her to stay for a third movie. I do not know when she came to bed. I was oblivious. Sunday morning was my sleep-in morning, but I was up at 5 a.m. I didn't want to be in bed when Marge woke in case she wanted a morning ride. And it was time to start checking her data. I shut off her alarm clock as I was leaving. As I booted my computer, I realized that if I didn't F her tonight, she absolutely would be suspicious. I started up the keylogger reader. While it initialized, I added a password to my computer. There were about 500 emails in the hidden folder, so I started reading them. The keylogger sends the oldest mails first, and I was looking at 6-month-old emails. I did see 2 emails from somebody named Will Perez. He had his own domain name, but the messages were about her work. Maybe the guy works with her. Or maybe this is the guy. I sorted by name and found one about 4 months old with the subject, "Hey, hot stuff." I read it. It was not explicit, but it sounded like this guy was trying to seduce her. He had registered his name as an internet domain. A brief check showed that he did not have a web page. I resorted by date and found 6 from Old Willie dated yesterday. No wonder Marge was hovering around her laptop. She was worried that I might open Outlook. I opened the newest email and read while my life crashed around me. Starting at the bottom where she bitched at him for marking her and how hard it was to hide it from me. His reply was basically, "Shit happens. Get over it, and to hell with your husband." Her furious reply was sent 14 minutes later. One paragraph was interesting. She wrote, "I know you do not love your wife, but I do love my husband. I do not want to hurt him or my marriage. It is bad enough that I haven't let him F me much lately. Now since you marked me, I can't even let him see me naked. I will not be meeting you this Wednesday." Interesting, but it didn't change anything. The next 2 were from him with a changed tune. He begged her forgiveness, told her he would always be gentler in the future. He offered to take her on a trip somewhere warm if she could get away for a while. He professed his love for her. Oh, pew. He sounded like a teenager. The last was from her, saying that she was glad that he now understood her position. She would only take trips with her husband, and she would not meet him this Wednesday. She added that she expected that it would take a week for the marks to fade, and that then she was going to be busy making it up to her husband. Other emails provided more information. If you're enjoying my content, consider joining my Patreon community. By becoming a patron, you'll get access to full parts of my videos much earlier than everyone else. Plus, you'll be supporting me to create even more awesome content for you. Check out the link in the description to join now. They had been F for about 2 months now. They met at a local motel where his company kept a room rented, allegedly for his long-distance sales guys to crash there when needed. One email gave her directions to the place, saying that the company has had room 187 for 2 years now. It was the motel across from the bar that I was in the other day. Then a new email arrived from him. It was a reply to one that she had sent last night, and I was sent spinning again. She had emailed him that she couldn't do without him ever this week, and that she would meet him Wednesday at 1 p.m. She insisted that he be gentle this time. His reply was effusive crap about how wonderful she was and how he would make it wonderful for her. I decided right then that they were both going to pay. I needed to make some plans and would need George's help. I forwarded the most useful emails to George and started making breakfast. Marge came down around 9:30 and thanked me for letting her sleep in that morning. I said that it was only fair since I crashed out so early last night. She hugged me and whispered, "Don't work too hard today, sweetie. I need you to do your hard work tonight." I ignored the second part and said, "I'm mostly done out there, just a couple more hours left to do." I pulled away, saying, "I'd better get to work." As I was leaving, I glanced back and saw a worried look on her face. She quickly changed it when she saw me looking. I said, "Yell if you need anything, babe." She gave a weak, "Okay." I was cleaning the garage when George called. First, he asked if I could talk now. I went outside and told him yes. He said, "I read the emails. I am so sorry." "Thanks," I said. I feel like shit, but at least I know now. You know, and you have some evidence, but you do not have proof court yet, he noted. I replied, I know. Maybe I can get some pictures of her going in or out of the motel. We can do a lot better than that, if you want. You just won't be able to use the evidence in court, he said. Talk to me. I have conducted a few criminal investigations at that motel over the years. The owner is a good guy who doesn't want criminals or druggies hanging around. I can call him tomorrow and get him to print me a key to that room as part of my ongoing investigation, was his reply. We will have to find out when Perez won't be there, and then we can install the same hidden cameras I used to catch my S of an X, he explained. I said firmly, yes, I want to do that. Not only to catch her, but because I want to get him. Can you see what you can find on him also? First thing Monday morning, I'll get that ball rolling. Let's see if we can do the install Monday or Tuesday. We'll need maybe an hour, he answered. We talked a few more minutes. George explained that the equipment was sound and motion activated, and that it would transmit to a receiver that had to be within 100 feet. He expected to put the receiver in a utility room somewhere. When I wanted to retrieve the data, I just had to drive to the motel and activate the receiver in my car. The first receiver was also a transmitter. On my signal, it would dump its data to me and then clear its memory. It might take up to 2 hours to send a full day worth of video. The rest of Sunday was uneventful. I found that I was really looking forward to getting some pee tonight. I came to the conclusion that just because Perez was staining it, there was no reason why I couldn't still just use it. My first thought was to do a rough, quick F and to be asleep 10 minutes later. Then I changed my mind and decided to see how many I could give Marge instead. She normally see once or twice a session. I'd make this one real special, something that she could compare to Perez. When the kids were in bed, Marge came up to me and quietly said, I'm going to bed too. If you are not in our bed in 30 minutes, I will come down here and drag you to bed by your D. I happily promised to be there. 20 minutes later, I walked into the bedroom. Marge was in the bathroom, and the room was darker than usual when I closed the door. The night light was missing from its socket. She must be figuring that in the darkened room, I wouldn't be able to see her hickey. Vowing not to touch her left chest tonight, I undressed in the darkness, pulled the bed covers back, and got into bed. Marge turned off the bathroom light before coming into the bedroom naked and slipped into bed with me. She turned to me and gave me a full body hug, saying, Oh, I need this, sweetie. I hugged her back and kissed her gently, saying, Me, too. Rolling her onto her stomach, I began a soft massage, starting at her head. As I worked my way down her body, I was rewarded by purring sounds. I played with her feet and each of her toes. After a few minutes, I put her feet down and moved around to the foot of the bed. After a bit, I rolled off of Marge and gently turned her onto her back. I decided to repeat my efforts, this time lying beside Marge, rather than on top of her. Moving lower, I began to kiss her neck and upper chest. Slowly, I moved down her body, kissing each part. I could feel her body tensing. After the process, Marge whispered, David, that was incredible. What did I do to deserve a man like you? I kissed her and replied, I'm the lucky one here, and I love pleasuring you almost as much as I love you. I was tempted to add a remark about how I could never love anyone but her, but I realized that I did not want to pop this bubble that we had right now, together. I love you too. We hugged and Marge said, I need to go clean up, but I am so comfortable here. I kissed her cheek and said, let me help. Getting up, I pulled the sheet and cover over her so that she wouldn't get cold and went into the bathroom. Coming back with a warm washcloth and 2 hand towels, I made sure to turn out the bathroom light before I re-entered the bedroom. Marge whispered, David, I love you. Then she popped our bubble by adding, you are the only man in the entire world for me. I kissed her a couple times before getting up and saying, I'm going to go clean up. Rest, baby. As I walked into the bathroom, I was raging. How could she say that, knowing that Perez was in her world, too? How could she, after the tenderest lovemaking we have had in a long time, lie there in our marital bed and lie to me? A deliberate lie, one she did not have to have said, but that she chose to say. When I left the bathroom, I was glad to find that Marge was snoring softly. I gingerly got into bed. I awoke early Monday morning, and looking over, noticed that Marge had put her flannels on, sometime in the night. I left the house before anyone else was up. Calling my office Monday morning, I let them know that I would not be in today, and then headed over to George's place. He told me that he had called the motel manager and had gotten some information. It turns out that our lover boy is getting it on with at least 3 women at his little love nest. I'm sure that he thinks he is smart having a full-time room to use, but he's dumb for using the same room. George also said that the manager thought that Perez was a bastard who harassed the staff. The final piece of information was that Perez worked in the room a couple of afternoons a week, but was rarely there before 11 a.m. "Well, let's grab our stuff and get going," George said. We loaded the equipment into George's van and pulled up at the motel in 10 minutes. George knocked on the manager's door and introduced me as someone who was working with him on an investigation and noted that I would be around sometimes. The manager, whose name was Kevin, said that that would be fine and that he did not want any illegal activities happening in the motel.